Welcome. You're listening to the Louie Minor Show. I'm your host, Bell County Commissioner Louie Minor. Today is June 9th, 2024. Happy Pride Month. We have a lot to discuss, so let's get started. Well, we are back. Sorry, the show is being sent out just a little bit later than I normally would send it out. I went to the Texas State Democratic Party Convention in El Paso. I was there for about 3 or 4 days and had a great time, met a lot of great people from all over the state. And I'm going to share some of those convention speeches that I like, that I enjoyed. So, yeah, we'll talk more about the convention here in a little bit. So let's get started with the agenda for the Bell County Commissioners Court for Monday, June 10th, 2024, beginning at 9 a.m. at the Commissioners Courtroom at the historic courthouse in downtown Belton. We have the first item on the agenda is the invocation. Then we have Pledge of Allegiance, consent agenda items. We have 3A, consider approval of the minutes of the June 3rd, 2024 meeting of the Commissioners Court. B, personnel budget amendments. 3, claims, accounts payable, payroll, restitution, jury pay. D, ratify a notice to proceed by the county judge to activate existing contract RFP 0423 disaster and or storm recovery services between Bell County and Cirrus Environmental Services at a cost not to exceed $872,523 with appropriate budget amendment. E, ratify a notice to proceed signed by the Bell County judge to activate the existing contract with RFP 0523 debris monitoring service between Bell County and Debris Tech at a cost not to exceed $255,696 with appropriate budget amendment. Consider ratifying interlocal agreement signed by the Bell County judge and the city manager of Morgan's Point Resort for Bell County to access and use lands of an air curtain burner. Then we have item 4, presentation on Pride Month to be celebrated during the month of June. Item 5, set place, date, time for public hearing regarding petition considering requesting the formation of Bell County Emergency Service District Number 2. Said public hearing will be at the regular session of the Bell County Commissioners Court, July 22nd, 2024 at 9 a.m., Bell County Courthouse, 2nd floor, Belton, Texas. Then we have County Engineer, consider and approve final plat of Dorothy 1, being a 2.509 acre, 1 lot, 1 block subdivision located in Bell County Precinct 2, and consider and approve final plat of Prairiedale Crossing, being 9.601 acres, 5 lots, 1 block subdivision located in Bell County Precinct 1. Then we have item 7, consider entering into a broker agreement and fees for the sale of real property in Collin, more specifically described as Bell County Tax Appraisal District records as property identifications number 95665, 170391, 95630, 95694, and 95695. And then the final thing on the regular agenda is consider authorizing the county judge to execute a release right of first refusal on property located near Cadence Bank and more specifically described in Bell County Central Appraisal District as property identification number 47326. And that is everything for the regular agenda. Now let's go to the workshop agenda that will begin right after that. We have receive reports from staff on various county offices and departments, capital improvement projects, jail expansion, museum archives, Collin Annex, diversion centers, and CIP, FY CIP plans. Then we have discussed Bell County appointment to Central County Services Board of Trustees. And that's everything for in the morning. And then we have in the afternoon, beginning at 1:30, closed session pursuant to 551.074 Texas Government Code to discuss and deliberate about officers and employees of a governmental body relating to the appointment, evaluation, reassignment duties, discipline, and dismissal of a public officer, to wit, Commissioner Court appointees. And that is everything for our Commissioners workshop. But we also have some budget workshops that are going to be going on this week. On June 11th, we have, beginning at 9, from 9 to 12, we have County Court of Law number 3, Temple Community Clinic, Greater Collin Clinic, and Indigent Health. Then on Wednesday the 12th, from 1:30 to 5, we have District Courts, Auditor, Cluster Courts, Human Resources, Justice of the Peace, Precinct 4, Place 2, Justice of the Peace, Precinct 1. And then on the 13th, on Thursday, from 9 to 12, we have Diversion Center, Truancy Court, and CIP, discuss CIP. And then on June 14th, Friday, we actually got something on Friday, from 9 a.m. to 12, and then from 1:30 to 5, so an all-day thing on Friday, we have Justice of the Peace 4, Place 1, Jail, and then the Sheriff's Department in the afternoon. And that is it. We have some more dates that are scheduled. That's on the workshop, June 20th, June 21st, July 2nd, July 3rd, July 5th. And those are all placeholders until we decide if we need to discuss or someone else wants to come and discuss with us. But those are placeholders as of now. So let's talk about the Democratic Convention. I've attended, this was my 5th convention that I've attended. We have conventions every 2 years, just in case you don't know, during the presidential and then the gubernatorial election year, we'll have state primary or state conventions. And this is the first one in El Paso that I attended. I think they said this is the first time we've been to El Paso in either 27 or 37 years for a state convention. And, I was a little concerned at first about it because, El Paso is a long way. It's in the mountain time zone, so it's an hour behind. And, I've definitely have been to El Paso before many times. I've driven to El Paso before many times, and I definitely knew better than to drive to El Paso because it's rough, especially if you're doing convention things and then you have to turn around and drive 10 plus hours on the way back. But nonetheless, I was able to catch a flight. And surprisingly, obviously, there were a lot of Democrats flying out of Austin, headed to El Paso. And just as soon as I hit the airport, started meeting a lot of friends and familiar faces. And that was very exciting, just starting out with that. And out of all the ones that I've attended, like I said, I was concerned with how many people, how well attended it was going to be, but it was actually very well attended. So saw a lot of people that I know, and it was actually a really, really good convention. I was surprised. Had a great time, a lot of networking, talked to a lot of people, and Democrats are excited to get to work. we know what's on the line. We're being attacked at the state level. We're being attacked at the federal level, and all we're trying to do is make people's lives better, and make the future better for people. So, anyways, we had the convention, and I was able to go the El Paso County. They put on, it was called the mission tour. So all the missions that they have there in the area, there's a couple of Indian tribes there as well. So some of them were on tribal land, some of them were in the county of El Paso. But we saw all those hundreds of years old, and so it was a good learning experience. Like I said, I had been to El Paso, but I've actually never went to any of the missions or that area of El Paso. So it was a good learning experience, and I really enjoyed it. And so getting into the convention, they'll call the convention to order, give speeches, and I'll play some up for you here, some of my favorite ones here in a minute. And but then that's the general session when they kick off. And then the next day, Saturday, they had a bunch of caucus meetings. Just imagine Veterans Caucus, and these are all, Democratic caucuses, Progressive Caucus, Hispanic, Black, LGBT, small business, rural, just environmental, just the list goes on and on and on. And but some of the main things that we had to do during the caucus was we had to select and nominate people to go to national convention. And I got asked if I wanted to go, and I said no. And now I kind of regretted it. I think I would have enjoyed the experience, but nonetheless, I'm sure I'll get an opportunity to go next go around. But yeah, we elected those. We elected our SDEC chairman and woman, and then a bunch of other positions we elected to do various things during the election year. And we voted on a platform, and that was about it. That was the close of business. That took the entire time we were there. I did get an invite to go to Beto's house. They were having a little get together for a bunch of state house candidates, and we had our two state house candidates there, Miss Jennifer Lee, who's running for HD 55, and Miss Dawn Richardson, who's running for HD 54. And they both got up there and spoke well. They actually were the first ones to speak. And so I was really proud of them to be in those rooms with all those great campaigners. And I'm sure they were a little bit nervous. I probably would be a little bit nervous, but they did a great job. And that's what it's all about. We're all there to support each other and get everyone over the finish line. So the first convention speech I want to play for you is from Congressman Al Green. He is the congressman from the Houston area. He's always been a good firebrand, and so let me pull up his clip and enjoy.
Please welcome Congressman Al Green.
you very much, Democrats, and still I rise. And still I rise. Proud to be an American, proud to sing the national anthem, proud to say the Pledge of Allegiance, proud to stand and salute the flag. But the greatness of America will not be measured by whether the Al Greens of the world will stand and salute the flag. The greatness of America will be measured by whether or not the Al Greens of the world will defend those who choose not to stand and salute the flag, will defend those who choose not to say the Pledge of Allegiance, will defend those who choose to protect the rights of babies being killed across the globe, will stand with those people in Palestine who are losing their lives. The greatness of America requires courage. You cannot be great and not have courage. I am proud to be an American because I should be. My ancestors. I am a scion of the enslaved people whose lives were sacrificed for 246 years to make America great. Yes, I'm proud to be in America because I salute them. And you ought to salute them. They are the people on whose backs we stand. They planted the seeds, harvested the crops, fed the nation, helped build the Capitol, helped build the White House. They deserve our respect. Would you give them some respect for me, please? Yes, I'm proud. And I want you to know, I'm proud to say that there are people who are willing to go to distant places, who stand for liberty and justice. These people don't always return the way they left. They're the members of our military, and we ought to be grateful to them for the services they have rendered. If you're a member of the military, take a stand. We want to salute you for what you do to protect America. Let's hear it for our military. Yes, I'm proud. And I'm proud to tell you that just as our military has fought to defend liberty and justice for all abroad, we have to fight for it here. We have a fight on our hands. We've got to be willing to fight, and one of the tools that we have is the right to vote. And we've got to make sure that we use this tool to protect the rights of people who are LGBTQ+. We've got to make sure that we vote to make sure that there's nobody elected to office who wants to demean or defend the right of others to hurt them. We've got to protect the LGBTQ community. We've got to defend the right to have a public school system that's well funded. We've got to do this not only now, but we've got to do this in 4 years when we're going to take Greg Abbott out of office. He does not deserve to hold the office he has for too long. He's been in that office. He's got to go. The school system that we have now has served us well. In 1956, after the Brown decision, a Nobel laureate, Milton Friedman, he was the person who gave us the concept that we should use vouchers to maintain segregation. I refuse to go back, Governor Abbott. Governor Abbott, I refuse to let you voucherize the school system in this state. Public schools ought to be financed with public dollars. We should not send public dollars to private schools. The very wealthy people in this country, they don't want to fund public schools. They have their children in private schools. We must fund public schools. The wealthy's got to pay their fair share to fund public schools. I stand to fight for the right to have a decent public school system. And I'm going to fight for the right of teachers to have a hard day's work, but also to get a decent day's pay for a hard day's work. I'm going to fight to make sure teachers make money just as athletes make money. We cannot put athletes above teachers. Teachers deserve respect. They deserve to be paid a fair amount of money for the work that they do. Let's protect our teachers. I'm going to fight for a woman to have the right to choose. No man should tell a woman what she can do with her body. No man. These state legislatures are controlled by men. Men, listen to me. You're making a big mistake when you take on the women. I'm with the women. The women of the world deserve the right to choose what they're gonna do with their bodies. I'm with the women. I stand with you. And for those men who have some consternation about standing with women, let me share this with you. Whether you believe it or not, or know it or not, you are here because some woman decided she would labor for 9 months and bear the pains associated with childbirth so that you could breathe the breath of life, and you would now deny her the right to choose what she does with her body. She chose you. And while we're on the subject of women, women ought to get the same pay for the same work. No man should get more than a woman gets when she does the same work a man does. Women deserve it. And men, if you truly believe that women are our equals, that we are not superior to them, then you ought to stand up and give every woman here a big expression of appreciation for what they are doing to make our world a better place. It's time for men to stand with women. Stand up. Be counted. Labor is ours. Labor unions belong to us. We Democrats support labor. It's time for us in the Congress of the United States of America to pass the laws to protect those who want to work and who want to organize unions. The persons who are in industry have their own union. It's called the Chamber of Commerce. If they can have the Chamber of Commerce without my permission, we should be able to organize labor unions without their commission. Stand up for labor. Labor means something to me. And friends, I want to say a word about old Joe Biden. Yeah, old Joe Biden. It was old Joe Biden who brought us the first female president. That ought to mean something to you. It was old Joe Biden that put a black woman on the Supreme Court. That ought to mean something to you. It was old Joe Biden who brought us the infrastructure bill that Donald Trump promised for years and could never deliver. It's old Joe Biden who's standing up for democracy, trying to protect the rights that we have so that we can have a better world. It's old Joe Biden who has said that even if his son is convicted, he will not pardon his son. He said he will go along with the judgment. It's Donald Trump who refuses to accept the orders of courts. It's Donald Trump who called the Latino judge a person who would discriminate against him simply because of his heritage. And it's Donald Trump that we cannot allow to get back into White House. Down with Trump! 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 Up with Biden! Up with Biden! Up with Biden! Down with Trump! Up with Biden! Down with Trump! Up with Biden. God bless you. I love you. God bless you.
Now, wasn't that a great speech? You know, Congressman, if you do some research on Congressman Al Green, he's done a lot of good things, good trouble, as they say. And one of the last things he did was when they were trying to impeach Homeland Secretary Mayorkas. You know, they count votes and they try to do things at certain times when some members are there or not there. And the House is so close, every vote counts. And they thought they had the votes to impeach him. But Al Green, who was having surgery that day, surprisingly showed up and threw everyone's vote off. And they were not able to impeach Homeland Security Mayorkas at that time. So yeah, he's a great champion, and I'm glad to have been able to see him do some of his work. So the next person speech that I want to play for you is my good friend John Bucy. He's a state rep down in Williamson County, and you know, if you've been following the show or know anything about me, you know, I got involved in politics over a decade ago, and John and I were two first-time candidates at the same time. So I've known him my entire political career, and we knocked on doors together, and now we're both elected officials, and it's really great. He swore me in whenever I took the oath to be county commissioner. And so, yeah, he gave a great speech, and let me cue it up for you.
Please welcome to the stage Representative John Bucy.
Hello, Texas Democrats. I want to tell you a story about my greatest hero, my Republican grandfather who fought against the status quo and taught me that we all must do our part to make Texas as good as its promise. My grandfather, Dr. Robert K. Pendergrass, would have been 100 years old this year. He was the rock of our family, larger than life, and one of the best men I've ever known. He volunteered for service the day after Pearl Harbor. He would go on to become a surgeon and small-town doctor, trading medical services for meals or whatever his patients could afford. My grandfather loved his family, his community, and his country. And as I've gotten older, I learned that we can all learn a lot from him. You see, in the 1960s, he ran for president of the local school board on the platform of desegregating the schools. This was a full decade after Brown versus Board of Education in a small town in East Texas called Pittsburgh. In spite of the noise and the threats, my grandfather stayed true to his convictions. And when he won his race for school board, he kept his promise and integrated Pittsburgh ISD. Later in life, he helped administer the Texas Medicaid program. He was appointed first by Republican Governor Bill Clements, but then reappointed by Democratic Governor Mark White. He was proud of that bipartisanship. Now, shortly before I was elected, my grandfather passed away. We buried him on my 34th birthday, and he never got to see me be sworn in. But I think of him every time I turn my key and press my button to vote on the House floor. I think of the legacy that he left our family and the lessons he taught us about serving our community. My grandfather used to tell us grandkids, Texas needs victors, and I hope you will be one of them. My grandfather believed, as I believe, that Texas has so much potential, but we are leaving too many of our neighbors behind. I wish I could say that was an accident or an oversight, but it's the result of 30 years of intentional decision-making by radical extremists who put profit and power above doing what's best for Texans. The Republican Party no longer believes in my grandfather's Texas. If you measure society by how it treats children, the vulnerable, and the underserved, Greg Abbott's Texas is a colossal failure. Our neighborhood schools are underfunded, and educators go without a raise while we ban books, whitewash history, and lie about global warming. Families struggle to afford food and health care while we turn down billions in federal funds. Maternal mortality is on the rise. Abortion has been banned, and IVF and contraception are on the chopping block. Parents who love their LGBTQ plus children are attacked for simply supporting their kids. Hard-fought gains on voting rights have been rolled back, and gerrymandering has stacked the deck against the people. Kids can't even go to school without the looming threat of gun violence, and even while 1 million Texas children don't have health insurance and rural hospitals are closing at record rates, Greg Abbott has refused to expand Medicaid and bring our tax dollars home to help our neighbors. This is the Texas of Greg Abbott and Ted Cruz. This is the Texas Republican extremists brag about. This is a Texas my Republican grandfather would have been ashamed of. But it doesn't have to be this way. In spite of the bigotry, the hatred, the obstruction, and the corruption that we've seen from our state leaders and from Donald Trump and his enablers, in spite of all of that, I still have hope for better days ahead. I still wake up every day dedicated to building a Texas as good as its promise. The story of Texas is the story of resilience. From farmers and ranchers to rough riders and wildcatters to musicians, football stars, and tech giants, it is from this great state that astronauts reach for the stars. Texas is where people have come to achieve more than they could have ever dreamed. That's not to say it hasn't been hard, or that we haven't fallen short in our pursuits or failed to live up to our highest ideals, because we have, and we will again. But what will define us as a party, as a state, as a people, is what we do next. Know this, Texas Democrats, we are not the bystanders in the story of our future. We are the authors. The power to create change lies within each of us. Our fight to build a Texas as good as its promise is about what we do with that power, how we close the gap between the promise and the reality of Texas. It comes down to the very heart of our humanity, to our commitment to care for those in need, and our responsibility to ensure we leave our world better than we found it. It's about building a table big enough for everyone. We are told hope is an action. It's not a belief. It's the hope of the activists organizing their community, the hope of the first-time candidate who feels they have something to offer. It's the hope of the frontline worker, the laborer, the teacher who knows their work builds this state's future. Don't be deterred by the cynics. Set aside the tired thinking that says Texas Democrats cannot succeed, that the odds against us are too high, that our opposition is too strong to overcome, because together we will defeat Donald Trump and re-elect Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. Together we will defeat Ted Cruz and elect my friend Collin Allred to the U.S. Senate. Together we will reject MAGA extremism and build a Texas as big as his promise. Texas Democrats, in the words of my grandfather, Texas needs victors, and I hope, I know you will be one of them. Thank y'all.
Well, there you go. Representative John Bucy, good friend of mine. And yeah, you heard his story, you heard the compassion. That's why he's a state rep, and I believe he's a leader in the party. He definitely, I know he ran or was thinking about running for leader, and for whatever reason, I don't think he got it. But he definitely is a leader and will continue to lead our fellow Democrats there at the state house, and he's definitely a force over there. So keep up the good work, John. Thanks for those words. We're ready to get to work over here. And then finally, well, they had Wendy Davis, Beto O'Rourke spoke, and Governor Gretchen Whitmire spoke from Michigan. And there's just so many good speakers that spoke. I wasn't able to keep it all within our normal time limit that we have, but I want to convention speech I want to play to you will be who's at the top of our ticket here locally, and that's Representative Collin Allred, who has been a phenomenal fundraiser. He's been raising a lot of money, even more than Beto O'Rourke did in 2018, and that tells you something. That definitely tells you something. He has a lot of ads out, and he's out there. He's getting the word out. A bipartisan message is what he's trying to get out. And if you been paying attention at all, it sure does seem that Cancun Cruz has been touting that same bipartisan message. But you can't fool us, Ted. We know what you're about. There's not a bipartisan bone in your body, and now you want to try and change colors and run around touting how bipartisan you are with all this infrastructure money that the state is getting, Inflation Reduction Act money, energy money, and semiconductor chips, Samsung, billions and billions of dollars that Biden administration has pumped into Texas to create jobs and secure our nation's future. And you voted against all of them, and we ain't going to forget that. So don't run around saying here that you're doing all these great things for Texas when we just know that's not true. So let me cue up our representative nominee, Representative Collin Allred.
To hear from him. Well, my fellow Texans, I am filled with pride and joy to welcome to the stage my friend, our Democratic nominee, and our next senator from the great state of Texas, Collin Allred.
All right. Okay. I got to put the microphone up a little bit. Buenas noches. Good evening, everybody. Thank you for being here. I want to thank my dear friend. And when we say this sometimes in Congress, we don't mean it, but I do. My dear, dear friend, Lizzie Fletcher. She makes us all so proud. Give her a hand, please. And I want to thank Governor Gretchen Whitmer for joining us tonight. She knows how to win tough fights. And I really want to thank my colleague and friend, your Congresswoman, Veronica Escobar, your State Senator, Cesar Blanco, for hosting us in their beautiful city, and to Beto O'Rourke for his years of service. Now, we're good Democrats here, and we care about working folks, so I want to thank the staff here at the El Paso Convention Center for all of their hard work in making this weekend possible. It's with great honor and pride that on behalf of myself, my wife Allie, my two perfect, beautiful boys, Jordan and Cameron, my mom Judith, my Aunt Tess, and my Uncle Jim, and the generations of Texans that I'm descended from, that included slaves in East Texas, and a former governor, and James V. Allred, the 33rd governor of Texas. It's my honor to be your nominee for the United States Senate. I know that a story like mine is only possible in Texas, a state that was once a country, a state that was once in the grips of Jim Crow and that produced the president who ended it, a state that produced the Speaker of the House that ushered in the New Deal, and the first black congresswoman from the South Barbara Jordan. A state that Americans of every race, creed, faith, background, and identity call home. Only in this great state could the child of a single mother who taught in Texas public schools for 27 years, and we don't pay our teachers enough. Only in this great state could someone who attended good public schools in Dallas, but who struggled at times growing up, but who always had a community to fall back on. Only in this state would I be where I am today. That's why I know that we're not who Ted Cruz says we are. Because if we were, and I really mean this, my story would not have been possible. It's because of the people of this state, the teachers and coaches who went above and beyond for me in Dallas, the opportunity that I was given at Baylor and Waco. It's because of the community that my mom and my aunt grew up in Brownsville, where my grandfather was a customs officer after serving the Navy in World War II. It's because of the folks who helped me make it in the NFL and go to law school and become a voting rights attorney. The folks, many of you in this room, who helped me beat a 22-year incumbent to get to Congress in 2018. It's because of this great state and the people in it that I stand before you now as our nominee. And with God's grace and with your help, I will become the first African American to ever represent our great state in the United States Senate. Now listen, we all know who Ted Cruz is. He's the guy that you hope you don't get steak next to at a barbecue. When I was in the NFL, we had a word for guys like Ted. We called them me guys. Me guys are always looking out for themselves first. On the football field, we learn to work together, put the team above self, to share credit. But when there's a me guy on the team, it makes everybody worse. They care more about their own media attention than helping the team win. Unfortunately, Washington, D.C. is full of me guys. But no one, and I know this from my 6 years now in Congress, no one is more self-serving, more disconnected from Texans' needs than Ted Cruz. Ted Cruz is the ultimate me guy. This is a guy who spends hundreds of hours podcasting because he thinks the sound of his own voice is more important than doing the work for Texas families. When we voted to bring high-tech manufacturing jobs back home, Ted said no. Now, billions of dollars are coming to our state to create thousands of Texas jobs, and there's Ted, trying to take credit. Textbook me guy behavior. When we voted to lower the cost of prescription drugs for seniors and cap the cost of insulin at $35 a month, there was Ted, voting no. You think the $500,000 he's taken from Big Pharma had anything to do with that? It's hard enough to retire with dignity in this country. But if Ted Cruz gets his way, he'll raise the retirement age and cut Social Security and Medicare. It'll be a nightmare for our seniors who paid into these programs all their lives. And when the lights went out in the energy capital of the world, only a me guy would think it's okay to fly down to the Ritz-Carlton in Cancun. That's not my Texas. In my Texas, we believe that we is more powerful than me. It's woven through all of our founding documents. Jefferson wrote, "We hold these truths to be self-evident." The Constitution begins, "We the people," in order to form a more perfect union. Lincoln reminded us that we are not enemies. After the ravages of the Civil War, that we are not enemies, but friends. Faith leaders and domestic workers and students braved fire hoses and dogs to tell the world, "We shall overcome." And more recently, millions have been inspired to say, "Yes, we can. Si se puede." And we don't have to be embarrassed by our senator. We can get a new one. And that's what this is all about. That's what this is all about. It's about the women in the panhandle standing up to billionaires who want to ban travel on local roads to access an abortion. And they're winning, by the way. It's about the Border Patrol agents I met here in El Paso who confided in me that they're worried about the morale and mental health within their ranks because of the challenges of combating complex fentanyl trafficking, as well as record surges of migrants, all while managing the vital cross-border trade with Mexico. It's about the Republican in Waco who told me that she'd never supported a Democrat before, but she's supporting me because she's worried about our democracy. It's about the mom in Dallas, who I think about every single day, who, despite battling terminal cancer, became an advocate for protecting other Texans' health care while Ted Cruz was trying to take it away. It's about the grandmas I meet at church in Houston who come up to me and they grab me by the hand. They tell me, I'm praying for you. We need you. It's about the gun owners who I meet on the campaign trail who know about our proud heritage of gun ownership in this state, but also think that shouldn't prevent us from taking action to save lives and keep our kids safe. It's about the working mom in Arlington who I met who told me she's paying $5,000 a month for her arthritis medication, and she needs relief now. And it's about the mother of two who has a much wanted and much prayed for third pregnancy, and who gets the news that we all hope we don't get. The pregnancy is not viable. The baby's not going to make it. And she now has to make one of the most heartbreaking decisions that any person will ever be faced with. And because of extremists like Ted Cruz, she can't get the care that she needs close to home. So she has to flee our state under threat of criminal prosecution. That's not my Texas. In my Texas, we believe in freedom. We believe in the freedom to make your own health care decisions, including access to an abortion. We believe in the fundamental promise that if you work hard and play by the rules, you should be able to take care of your family, buy a home, join a union, send your kids off to school, and retire with dignity. In my Texas, we don't run to Cancun when the lights go out. We run to help our neighbors. In my Texas, we know that we can secure the border without resorting to cruel and dangerous stunts. And in my Texas, we know that I am my brother's keeper. I am my sister's keeper. If there's a Texan who doesn't have health insurance because our leaders have refused to expand Medicaid, if there's a child who's sitting in one of our public schools that's underfunded who can't reach her potential, if someone's working full time, but minimum wage isn't enough for them to take care of their family, that hurts all of us as Texans. I've got two boys. They're 3 and 5. They're fifth-generation Texans. And I will never stop fighting for their future and for the Texans that I know we can be. Now, y'all know, I went to Baylor, I lived in Waco, I played in the NFL, where folks from all different backgrounds have to come together to work towards a common goal. I know who we are as Texans. I know we have political differences, but we have more that unites us as Texans than divides us. And that's something that Ted Cruz will never understand. I've been named the most bipartisan member of the entire Texas congressional delegation. I'm proud of that. I've worked hard at it. I don't pursue bipartisanship, though, just for the sake of it. I do it because it's how you get things done. That's what Texans expect from their leaders, that you'll roll up your sleeves and get to work, just like they do every single day. And in this election, we have a choice between the ultimate me guy and somebody who will work for all 30 million of us. And together, we can restore freedom to Texas women and families. We can show the country and the world how to secure our border consistent with our values. We can show everyone that y'all really does mean all. And if they want to come for our freedoms, then they can come and take it. This November, we're going to shock the world. We're going to beat Ted Cruz. We're going to elect leaders like Michelle Vallejo to Congress. We're going to flip seats in the State House and the Senate, electing new leaders up and down the ballot, but we can't do it without you. So go to Allred.com and get involved. Thank you so much. Let's do it, Texas.
Well, there you go. He said, let's do it. So now we have a lot of work to do. I know there's a lot of fired up Democrats that left El Paso ready to roll up their sleeves. And in the heat, the Texas heat, the summer, we'll be out there engaging voters, registering voters, telling the voters why you should vote Democrat and our values and what it means in governance. And that's what I plan to do. So The interesting thing about Collin Allreds is the national Democratic apparatus is actually going to support him. I mean, I think they supported Beto a little bit just because of the fundraising that he was able to do. But early on, it was announced that the SDCC, I believe, or whatever version they have on the Senate side, is marking this race, Texas, as a possible flip, just because Ted Cruz did so bad last time. He only lost by 200,000 votes, which it is a lot, but it's the closest that we've ever been to winning a statewide election in 30 plus years. It was like 3% of the vote difference. So it could be done. Beto proved it. Now we have to get out there and just get those extra 200,000 votes so we can have real representation here in the state of Texas. So that is the end of the show. Thank you for listening. And if you are in El Paso, let's get to work. Let's get to work. And I will talk to you later.